Okay, here's how I made my color sliders in Live2D for my customizable model. I will show you how I figured out how to do it, and you might come up with a better way, and that's awesome. Please let me know if you have a better way, because this method is all right, but I feel like maybe there was a chance for improvement. Possibly. All in all, though, it worked really well. So what I did is I made a new parameter. So for the hue slider, the sweet spot that I found was minimum 0, default 0, maximum 40. And this is going to be a really jank workaround, but bear with me. Okay. We want to edit the keys manually. And the 40 is good because there's these nice snapping steps that we can do. But I only went up to 36. So I did that, and then I just go back and edit it and set the maximum to 36. And there's your slider. So you're gonna give yourself two new deformers. I named one hue and one for luminosity, and those are gonna go around your piece that you are editing. I do recommend rigging your movement before you add these sliders, because I'm going to copy and paste the sliders a lot. You can do that, but you might end up with some unfavorable movement depending on the size of these deformers that you're copying and pasting. So anyways, on the hue deformer, I'll show you what I have. We're skipping the first one to maintain the white. That's my own choice. You can do whatever you want with that. But I just went through the rainbow here, essentially, for each of these key forms. And you don't have to go with the colors that I've chosen. Just do whatever works for you. I stuck with some pretty standard colors here, and really prioritized bright colors that were very rich and saturated and not too pastel, because when you have something more pastel, the saturation works fine, but the luminosity won't give you a deeper and more rich color from here. You won't end up with this with the sliders, unfortunately. So still working on a pastel option, but this is what I found worked best for my project. So whatever you want to do that is up to you. Also, I will note, between the white and the red works as a decent pastel pink, but I gave myself a slider for a more purpley magenta pink, and then also a rich, more red pink on these sliders. So that's how I ended up with this many keyforms and the values from 0 to 36. Again, whatever's going to work for you, mess around with it and play with it and see. Anyways, moving on. So on the same deformer for the hue, we're going to also do the saturation. For the saturation slider, we have minimum 0, default of 1, maximum of 1. So 1 is going to be fully saturated, and 0 is going to be totally desaturated. So what I've done is you drag it to 0 and then go through each of your keyforms. You can right click on them to snap to it and just pretend that this is, the regular colors still. Hop over to this saturation box and just, send it to 0. And then we're going to just do that over and over for all of the keyforms. Click through. I've already done this, so Just pretend, okay? And for the last part, the luminosity, going to create ourselves a new parameter. Minimum 0, default 1, maximum 1, same as the saturation slider. This is its own deformer here, new deformer. We're just going to drag that to 0. And on the multiply color, this is the color that I found worked the best. Again, you can play around with that and find out what's going to work for you. But the luminosity one is just as simple as that. So they're all going to work together with all of the different hues. And that is it. That's all you've got. Now, you can copy and paste these deformers and these values and apply them to a different part. Thank God. That was my saving grace in making this model. Okay. So all you're going to do is select these two, Control C, and copy them. And then Control V. It is going to paste them within the same part. So all you're going to do is take them and drag them to the new part. Okay. You'll probably have to bring the part down down under your lowest deformer here. And what you're going to have to do, now you don't have to do this if the new part is going to be on the same slider as the old part. But if you want them to be on separate sliders, you are going to grab the hue, right click and change. You're going to find your new part. There's just a million parts here, so just pretend we've found the new part. Do the same thing for the saturation because they're on the same deformer. Right click and change. Find your new saturation slider. And for the luminosity, grab your luminosity deformer. Right click, change, and find your new luminosity deformer. And that is it. That is it. We've got a new color slider that is separate from the other one that we've just created. Again, the size of these deformers is going to mess some things up if you go and do your physics movement. For example, like the jiggling of this bow. It is going to mess with it, so I do recommend saving your color sliders for last. Rig the rest of the movement and add those sliders after the fact, and you should be good. You should be able to copy and paste and not have to redo this value input every time. So yeah, I do recommend saving a notepad file. I'll show you what I've got. This is what I've saved for myself. I recommend saving yourself a notepad with all of your slider values if you're going to be reusing the same colors for everything, just in case you lose something and you have to redo it again. You maybe, depending on how many pieces you're going to add color sliders to, you may or may not have to redo it again a couple times. But the good news is you should be able to copy and paste those deformers and just change the slider parameter for most of it. So there you have it. Good luck to you and have fun. Happy rigging.